Welcome to another episode of Supy Talks. Today, we're joined by Mitz Patel, Global Head of IT Delivery at Soho House. Mitz has a large history of working at operationally complex hospitality businesses, from Prezzo Italian to David Lloyd Leisure. So today, we're going to have a conversation about where operations, technology, and hospitality meet. And Mitz has some really interesting stories about how often the problem in technology is not the tech itself, it's how people use it and interact with it. So Mitz, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Aaron.
It's a pleasure having you here. So so people get to know you, can I get a bit of a background from you and how you ended up working at the kind of the cross-section of hospitality and technology?
Yeah, I mean, how much time have we got?
We've got about an hour.
Oh, okay, let's see. So from a very young age, IT was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
I went to university, did a degree, a master's, a PhD. I was kind of like, what do I do next? How do I find a job? And I couldn't. And so I just started part-time jobs.
Yeah.
Started a part-time job at David Lloyd that had just opened up near my house. It was too expensive for me to join at the time. So I thought this is a good way for me to get free gym membership. And then at some point just kind of emailed the IT director at the time and said, hi, I work in your club. If you are interested, I can come and do some stuff, and just kind of wangled my way in, really.
That's
and then
amazing.
It grew from there. Yeah. So, and then stayed there, did about 5 years there. Tail end of my tenure there, I was working, we were just expanding across Europe. So we were just opening up new clubs. And so I was working kind of like on the IT element of the new club openings. And then my then boss, a guy called David Broom, moved to a company called Prezzo Italian. And he said to me, oh, do you want to come and work for me here? And I said, no, I quite like free gym membership. It's great fun. And so I kind of didn't for a while and then moved over eventually. Yeah. So I went from being ultra healthy to eating pasta and pizza all day long. And then eventually ended up here. So I did 7 years at Prezzo.
Yeah.
When I started, we were kind of like a very basic, I think restaurant companies is probably the right way to put it, tech wise.
Yeah.
Everything was kind of spreadsheets and standalone and internet lines, like single lines into the restaurants. And we brought it to a really good standard. So Dave, myself, and some of the team brought it to a standard where other hospitality companies were looking at us and going, "You've got guys have set the kind of the bar on that." And then I felt like a bit of a new challenge. And again, like all my roles that I've had have just come about like very randomly. So for this role, I messaged our current CTO, a guy called Rajat, and said that, you know, if anything comes up, give me a shout. And he said, we might have something. And
Amazing.
Then here I am.
That's cool. So then you swapped gym for Italian food, and now you've got a pretty cool lifestyle membership club. You know, you've picked good companies.
It is pretty good. I don't think I was thinking about this last night, actually. I was talking to some people and I said, I don't think I take enough benefit of working here just yet. But I think I've yet to explore that side of it. It's been a hectic 7 months.
I bet.
So
yeah, amazing. And as you were saying, at David Lloyd, you started out in a more operational role. Obviously, now you're in technology IT role. Did that help, like, kind of shape your view on how to get tech into a business?
Yeah, absolutely. From a very early start, I identified this kind of like this gap between the operational world and the tech world in a lot of companies, and you'll often find the tech side of a company pushing something or trying to implement something, but not taking into account the operational side of it. And that's where I found my niche, I think. And it's always been a bit of my happy place is out there in operational world, if I'm honest with you. Even at Soho House, like my happiest times are going to houses and talking to people. At Prezzo, my happiest times were going to restaurants, helping clear tables, understanding where the pinch points are and the pain points are, and then finding solutions for that.
That's amazing. I feel like that's probably what makes you so good at your job, because if you sit back in the office and try and fix problems, I find it the same in my world. If I'm just, the best ideas come up from getting out there rather than just sat around in a meeting room brainstorming.
Yeah, so. And building trust is the big one. So build trust with the operational teams is key to landing something successfully. If they don't trust you and they don't trust what you're doing and the vision you're painting, they won't follow it.
Yeah, amazing. And I want to dig a little into your time at Prezzo because you were there for a good amount of time. It's a really well-known brand and actually really...
they like to be called Prezzo Italian.
Prezzo Italian. Okay,
they rebranded.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I saw they're doing renovating a lot of the restaurants. They look really good now.
Big refurbished plan going on, yeah. It's been going on for quite a long time. And it's something that needed to be done for that particular chain. It's a chain that people know, love, have visited many a time, but it just needed a refresh, and they got a really amazing team in to do it. Current marketing director Nadi, a guy called Mark McCulloch, who has just been awarded an MBE.
Yeah, I saw that. That's amazing.
And they just the really good thing about that team is they work so cohesively together. It's almost like they sit in a room and they just come up with these ideas, and it's fantastic. Great. And I always say the pace at which they work is phenomenal. You start on a Monday and you're implementing by a Friday because it's that quick a turnaround. But it needed a kind of like a refresh, and the guys behind it, Kane, put a lot of money into it to kind of do that. So
that's really cool. I wanted to touch on the IT side actually in technology, because you were kind of known for testing new technology in the group. So can you just tell me about that? How did that come about? What do you do?
Yeah, so lots of people contact me through LinkedIn and talk to me about stuff they're doing. It could be just some person that's come up with an idea and has built a prototype of something, or it could be a new startup that's trying to get something off the ground. And the really good thing about working at somewhere like Prezzo was that we had this flexibility. So we could kind of cordon off a bunch of restaurants or a couple of restaurants and then just say to people, use it as a test ground. We're happy to do so. And we came up with some really cool stuff. We worked with Barclaycard on a really cool idea of kind of like a totem that you tap on when you sit down. Then you order food, and as you walk out, it detects that you walked out, and then kind of, it's a very Amazon Fresh type thing.
Yeah.
Detects you walked out, and it just charges you for it. So very early on, we're talking what must have been like 5-6 years ago when this was brand new tech. And then just anything else, touch screens, all-in-one devices to be order and pay. We were one of the first people to bring Dojo all-in-one devices into a hospitality space.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been interesting, and that's part of what I quite like. I like that kind of trying different things, and some of that I bring to here as well. So one of the big features that I'm working on here is speed of service in the houses.
Yeah.
And there's a distinction between fast service and efficient service. We're not looking for fast service because our houses and our members expect a certain level of service. It's not a fast food takeaway kind of thing. But efficiency of service is important. And bringing some of that tech and looking at things like intelligent fridges that you can tap, take what you want, and then it knows what you've taken and then charges you for it, or robots that can make cocktails. There's some really cool stuff out there, and I just absolutely love hearing about new stuff. There's nothing I won't just have a look at.
That's really cool, and I imagine part of that bringing it is great for these newer brands that are bringing new technologies to the industry. So I think the industry probably likes you for that. Do you think that comes from you personally, or is it the culture of the companies you've been in, or a bit of both?
A bit of both. I think giving someone the opportunity is very close, especially small businesses.
Yeah.
My parents started off running their small businesses. Nice. It's a small shop in Twickenham, and they run it themselves, and they've run it for the last 40 years. And that's the ethos that has been kind of instilled in me from a young age. Yeah. Help small businesses, help people get on that first step. And some of the things that we did at Prezzo have now grown to be really big in the industry. But we were one of the first, or one of the second, or one of the third to and had a real input in how that was shaped. Yeah. And it's just a really nice feeling.
It's cool because you get to help some of these brands grow, and if they're good, they go on to something great. But also as a business, you get to stay at the cutting edge and, doing things that give you a competitive edge on other businesses. So it's a win-win, really.
Yeah, selfishly, it's great PR, right?
Yeah.
And that's what all this is about, is great PR. Yeah. Being the first to be able to talk about that, being able to say we helped mold some of that, all of that is really important.
It's nice. And were there any times, you don't have to name names, where these things didn't work out, or something that really failed that you tried?
Many times. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. And our mantra was, if you're going to fail fast, learn, and then recover very quickly. Yeah. We try to do all-in-one order and pay devices really early on.
Mm-hmm.
We thought we were clever enough to like have our own ones built. So there was a well-known manufacturer that was charging an extortionate amount for these devices, and we said, do you know what? We're just going to have those built ourselves. So we sent one of these devices off to China, and about 6 months later, this truck pulled up outside our office, and it was just pallet loads of these devices that we'd ordered. And they served their purpose, but they weren't great. And you get what you pay for, and it was interesting, and it was a learning curve. We tried to do pocket PDQ machines.
Okay, yeah.
So very early on, the old kind of big old silver pocket PDQ machines were the industry standard. We thought we could do a pocket version of this.
Nice.
So we were working with a couple of companies to try and build like a pocket one. And I remember sitting at home many a night at 8 o'clock in the evening, someone from a restaurant would phone me and go, the PDQ machine stopped working. What do I do now?
No.
And like, what's this error that's come up? And so yeah, a lot of it was trial and error, but that's the beauty of working for somewhere like Prezzo Italian, is that they, their ethos is just learn from it and move on.
No, that's really cool. And I feel like through doing those things, you get better in all aspects. And even when you're looking at new vendors, maybe you can ask more relevant questions and save the business money in different ways.
And it is a learning curve. And I've made many a mistake in my time, and I'm sure it's cost a little bit of money to the business and that kind of thing. But yeah, you learn from it and you become better. And actually what you're doing is not only are you becoming better, but the vendor is then becoming better as well, because you're asking questions that they might not have been asked before. You're looking at ways to work with them that they haven't been pushed to do. Yeah. And one of my favorite things is finding vendors that are happy to push the boundaries of where they're working. What I don't like is when a vendor says, well, this is what we've got and that's what we've got, unfortunately. If you're going to work with us, let's push some boundaries. Let's build something new together. Let's break some ground. Yeah,
if they bring you along the journey of their roadmap, take your feedback on it. Something we've done with a number of like big prospective clients, just spoken to them, understand what they need.
Yeah.
And if there's a bit of alignment between a couple of people, then great, crack on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better to hear it from potential customers than, again, in a meeting room. So amazing. What I'm interested to find out about is, because you've worked at some quite diverse businesses, Soho House versus Prezzo Italian, or a casual dining chain, like from a technology standpoint, what's the difference? What are the challenges?
Interesting question. So Prezzo is definitely something we built from the ground up.
Yeah.
And so you knew the tech very well. I knew the tech very well. I knew the stack very well.
Yeah.
And we were very hands-on in deciding how that was which direction you went in and who you picked as your suppliers. The interesting thing about something like Soho House is it's well established and it's been around for a long time, which means that you're adopting technology that's already there. And one of the struggles I've had here is the restrictions in some of the tech that we have. Because we're a global company, there are restrictions in what we can and cannot do, what we can and cannot implement. And that's always been a bit of a struggle here for me, is just trying to work out how we navigate those hurdles. But yeah, it's a completely different thing. Like the other thing I say about Soho House is that there's somebody here for everything, right? There's the team is big. It's much bigger. We were like 10 people as a team in IT at Prezzo Italian. Just the projects team alone is 10 people here, right? There's 10 project managers working on stuff, and there's a lot of people here. So pace is slower, but more. I'd say probably more considered is the polite way of saying it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what are there any exciting projects you're working on, or things you can tell us about that are coming soon we should look out for there, or is it all behind wraps?
I mean, as I said earlier, the big thing that I'm working on is speed of service. And it's one of our kind of like our most high profile initiatives in the business. It's one of the things that our members talk to us about the most. And we want to make sure that we continue to provide the right level of service. And that's, as I said earlier, it's not fast service, it's efficient service. So we're looking at everything from some of the stuff I'd done previously. So things like the bog standard kind of all-in-one devices, QR code ordering, NFC ordering, all the way through to some really cool stuff like intelligent fridges I mentioned earlier, robots that make cocktails. Just the other day, someone contacted me about a robot that cleans.
Wow.
Which is quite cool. So you could just have it set off in the house overnight and it would just clean the entire house. So those kind of things are really, really interesting. And some of this stuff isn't necessarily just tech. And this is where it gets interesting. It's kind of bleeding into the operational world.
Yeah.
And looking at how we can help ops fix some of these things.
Nice.
But yeah, there's some really cool stuff.
That's very exciting to hear. I can't wait to see some of that happening in real life.
And some of it won't come out, right?
Course.
Like I can't, for example, I can't say to the guys at Greek Street, hey, can we take out an entire bar and put a robotic cocktail maker in? They'll say, are you mad?
Yeah.
But I can see that working somewhere like a festival or something like that, where like Coachella or Glastonbury, where it becomes a feature, it becomes an art piece.
Totally. But you can put it in my house. If you like. So what I wanted to find out about is when you're looking at all these different types of tech to implement, is there like a process you follow to decide, we can trial this. Yes, I should look into this, because I can imagine it could be quite overwhelming.
I'm probably quite a maverick at this kind of stuff. Okay. I quite like to just try and shove something in and just see if it works. And that's not necessarily the right way to do things. And certainly not the way that we would consider doing things at Soho House. And so there is a process, and the process changes depending on what it is. So usually it's we define a process of kind of like the requirements and follow a project life cycle. But often sometimes like life's too short. You just put it in and see what happens, right? Yeah,
totally. Test it. And the nice thing is, with the number of houses and locations you have, there are probably types of places and venues where you can test something, or an opportunity comes out, or like.
And our general managers are fantastic, right? We've got some of the best general managers in the industry. So on it, like when I talk to them, they're keeping me on my toes. They're making sure that I'm doing a good job, because they're coming up with ideas. They're thinking of things that they should be doing. It's great, and that's part and parcel of it, right? I talked earlier on about how that engagement with ops at an early stage is really important. Being able to engage with those general managers, because I can talk to the house until I'm blue in the face. They're not going to listen to me. No. They'll listen to me a little bit. They'll say, "Oh, this is this guy in a suit that's just turned up with crazy hair, and he's telling us to do something. We better do a little bit when he's around." Yeah. But really, truly, you only listen to your manager, because they're the ones that matter.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. If they can see the value in it, they can see how it will help them. If you can kind of pitch that to them in the right way, they're more likely to engage. And if you get good feedback, you're more likely to be encouraged to try and help them in what they're doing. So it sounds like a nice relationship.
Yeah.
And that does lead on nicely to what around like tech adoption being a human problem. So do you think that tech adoption is more around people than systems, and how do you go about making sure that people use the tech you implement?
It's a little bit of both, if I'm honest. It is a bit of both. Sometimes you can over tech. You can do something for the sake of doing it, and I've been guilty of that. And sometimes it's really difficult when you're in a room full of tech people. The conversation starts to spiral quite quickly, and all of a sudden you're like automating everything that you can think of, and trying to implement technology for everything you can think of. But actually, really, you don't need it. Sometimes you need someone in that room to go, hang on a second, what's going on here? Yeah. Like, we're going to get a bit carried away. Because if you're a techie at heart, what you want to do is implement new tech or build new tech, right? And that's what you really want to do. So kind of bringing it back to kind of like reality is an important one. But yeah, I think in general, implementing technology in an operational world, it's finding the right tech, and it's getting buy-in from a very early stage of that tech.
And have there been any examples where you've seen there's been quite a lot of resistance at the start, and then by the end of it, you've pushed through, and people feel like, I couldn't live without this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the handhelds is a really good example, because we were really early adopters of handheld tills. I think when we were looking at Prezzo Italian, only a small bunch of people had started doing it, and not in the same way we were doing it. And I remember going to restaurants and talking to members of staff that had worked for Prezzo for 15, 20 years. And had like, I'd said to them, from today, we're going to start using handhelds instead of pen and paper. And they would burst into tears, and they'd say, I do not want to use this handheld. I absolutely cannot use it. Pen and paper was their safety, right? Like, it's a shield. If you're not a confident person, pen and paper is brilliant because I could just scribble anything I want down. I could draw stars on this right now, and then I could walk back, remember your order, and tap it into a till. And it was really interesting. Like, part of me loves that kind of the way the brain works and the psychology behind this kind of stuff. And it was really interesting to take those people on that journey. And sometimes it was showing them the benefits. Sometimes it was working with them and just being around and being confident and being present to give them the confidence. And sometimes it was a bit of a stick approach. So I'm going to turn that till off if you don't stop using it, kind of thing, or I'm going to take the pen and paper away from you. But when I left Prezzo, I remember talking to some of the team about the handhelds and the journey we'd been on. And we said, what would happen now if we took them away? And they said, absolutely not. You can't do that. And we've started to roll them out here at Soho House. And funnily enough, we've kind of had them in houses for the last, I'd say, in real earnest, probably in the last like 4 or 5 weeks. And I've spoken to a couple of people and they've kind of gone, this is like literally my right hand now. If you took this away, I don't know how I would function.
That's amazing.
In the flip, I've heard people say, I don't really know how this works here. It's not for us. We are pen and paper. So it's a battle. But if there's anybody to take Soho House on that journey, it's someone who's done it before successfully. And that's mine.
That will be exciting to see how that goes. Because, I mean, there are various benefits and some of it's tough. But, you know, if it's making the customers' lives easier, it's giving the staff more time to spend on building rapport, providing hospitality, not just service, then I think it's a win. So my next question was about like what makes speed of service difficult in large venues, because you've got large venues. So what's different about that, and how can brands work around it to make it happen?
It's multifaceted. So there's the layer which is the tech itself, and the tech needs to be on point every single time. If somebody loses confidence in that technology, especially if you're standing at a table and you're taking an order and that tech stops working, I have to work twice as hard to then try and get that person to pick that tech up again. It's really, really difficult. And so it has to be bulletproof. It has to work every single time, just like a pen and paper was. But then there's the other side to it, which is the operational side of it, and making sure that people understand what the benefits are, and then use it based on those benefits and utilize it in the best way possible. Sometimes you'll implement tech and it will have all the bells and whistles, and someone will just use it for one thing in particular, and helping them understand what else you can use it for and why it's a big benefit is a really interesting one for us. There's things that we think that might work, might not work. So QR codes is a very controversial subject. We were talking about it earlier, and in our houses, there's a split between people that think QR code is almost an industry standard now. You'd expect it in a restaurant or a place you go to, and then people that think actually it's probably not the right look and feel and fit for what we do. The beauty of our houses is that there's like you said, there's multiple areas and they're all different. So you might have a traditional restaurant where you might really want to use pen and paper because it's part of the look and feel of the restaurant. There'll be areas of the house which are kind of like private areas where members can just go off and wander and sit down and do some work or read a book that aren't manned by anybody, but you still want to provide service there. And tech really helps in those kind of places. And there's places like around the pool, for example, in the summer where it's very busy and you want to provide a high level of service very quickly. Yeah,
it's really interesting. I'll be fascinated to see where you end up. But I can imagine like one of the things is privacy, discretion, and it helps if you want that. And other places, you're there to show people a great time, and then you want interaction. So there's a place for it, isn't there?
Yeah, and my attack on this is to do it in one place really well. So White City House, for example, is our house of excellence that I've kind of dubbed. And we're kind of throwing everything at it.
Yeah.
Very receptive team there, really want to see it working. Interesting demographic of member, and it has a public and private space. Also has a Soho Works, it has a spa, it has a gym. So it has a little bit of everything there. And you kind of build a menu of stuff, right? And I was talking earlier about how GMs in Soho House are so on it. Once I've built this menu of things, people can kind of go, that works really well there. I think it would work really well for me.
Nice.
That won't work well for us. Let's not put that in my house. And they have the decision, and that's the key thing. And it's an important thing. They have to drive this.
Yeah, that's a really, really nice sort of test bed to see where else in the world you'll take it, because the venues differ quite a lot across the world. Okay, cool. And that's a really good example of how things could work. But are there any examples where you've seen tech replace that hospitality and service rather than supporting it?
Yeah, like I think as a tech person, we're always guilty of over thinking it and over kind of building it. I've seen some hotel chains, for example, have digital concierge, like a hologram or an image, and it might work, but does it work? Does it feel right?
Yeah.
I still want to speak to somebody.
Yeah.
Sometimes the tech is just not advanced enough. So very early on, we were looking at AI in phone technology, and at Prezzo Italian, we were looking at how we may miss bookings because the restaurant is busy, and how we can kind of cover that off. And very early on, the tech wasn't great. It was very much like if you ever phoned the cinema in the 90s, it was kind of press 1 for press 2 for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the technology is come on leaps and bounds, but sometimes it's just not the right fit, and you're trying to force something into something that doesn't work. I think Leon are probably a good example of this. Leon have since it's been taken back by the founder, they've started to take screens out of their restaurants and put that personal touch back in again, and that's really interesting. I think there's always a kind of like a pivot point in which you go, actually, that's too much now. Yeah. That's we're detracting from what we want to be.
And sometimes I think I'm biased, but some of the tech behind the scenes that enables the stuff in front of customers to get that full experience is where we're going in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Okay, cool. I feel like I've learned so much from you already, but we want to help people on this podcast, other people that might be on a career path somewhat like yours. So if you were meeting someone that's coming into their first head of IT role or head of digital role in a hospitality group, is there any advice you'd give them?
Get to know your operational team. That's the most important thing. Get to know your operational team. You're going to be working alongside them, not on a different angle, like a different avenue to them. Yeah. It's really important, and get really early buy-in. I think the other thing is be a bit of a chancer. Like sometimes as the British don't like that kind of, being a bit cheeky and asking for a free pilot or a discount or something, but do that because often those are the barriers to success that you remove to get your pilot in, to get your data in. And looking at data is really important. I've been guilty of not doing that quite a lot. So in my previous years, put something in, see if it's successful, just go with it. And actually, sometimes looking at the data and making decisions based on data is a really important key thing. I think the other thing is just be really open to what people are talking to you about. Everybody out here is trying to earn a living. They're trying to do the right thing, and being nice in this industry. We're hospitality after all, right? That's what it's all about. Being nice doesn't take a lot of effort. But being nice rewards you tenfold in the long run.
So I think that's one of the best things about the industry. It's that a people industry, people love interacting still. So that's great. And imagining you're someone that's in a head office kind of role and spending some time in store, in hotel, in wherever. Is there any advice you give on that? How to spend your day? Because it can feel a bit awkward, I think, for people sometimes when they're doing it.
Yeah, and sometimes operations, like you go to a restaurant and they'll go, you're not helping me, you're hindering me. We did this thing at Prezzo Italian, we did like a back to the floor kind of day. Nice. And the first time we did it, the feedback was the head office people are coming, or support center we called it at the time. They're coming to our restaurant. Actually, they're trying to help us, but really what they're doing is they're slowing us down because they're kind of going, what do I do now? What do I do now?
Yeah.
And you kind of end up just polishing cutlery. One of the best things we did, I remember one time we went to one of our restaurants, which is a seaside restaurant. It had this amazing kind of like, at the back of it, amazing terrace, 3-floor terrace. It was really nice, overlooking the sea. It was great, but it was in absolute disarray, right? I think the summer season had finished. We'd just gone through winter. It hadn't been used. It just was really run down. And as an IT team, a few of us had gone there to do some stuff around tech. And I looked at it and I went, it doesn't fill me with pride. It doesn't look good. It doesn't. And so I just said to the guys that we finish a little bit earlier than we did. Let's spend the next 2 or 3 hours just sprucing the whole thing up.
Great.
So we cleaned, we scrubbed, we got rid of rubbish and stuff. And actually the team got involved as well. Because all of a sudden they feel pride in what they're doing. And they got down on their hands and knees and put gloves on and cleaning. And we absolutely made that terrace look beautiful. Yeah. And the end result was people walking by were going, actually, I'm going to come into this restaurant now. Great. I want to kind of sit here and eat, and the terrace was full by the end of it.
That's great.
And it's those kind of things that make a big difference.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure the customers benefited, the business benefited, and your relationships with that in-store team. Like you could go to them, really get the information, knowledge, advice, questions that you wanted.
I mean, for me, spending time in operational world is great. Immerse yourself in it.
Yeah.
I try and spend at least one day a week in a house if I can. I try and spend at least one day a week in a house if I can. Yeah. If I can't, at least keep in touch with what the house is in. Yeah. And as I say, at Prezzo Italian, it was my favorite time. Go to a restaurant, and we did it successfully many times over after that. There, everybody got involved. Everything from washing dishes to hosting to clearing tables, the works.
Yeah, amazing. And just looking a bit towards the future, like I can imagine you having your own hospitality tech business. But are there if you had a blank canvas, are there any things you build today? Like any ideas?
A long time ago, myself and 2 of my friends. So there's a guy called Dave Broom who is the CIO at Prezzo, and there's a guy called Ross Pires, and he's he is digital customer-facing digital technology at Pizza Express. We all worked at Prezzo together. I remember going to one night. We went out for a meal and we sat in one of these. I think it was Ed's Diner or something like that in Spitalfields. And we sat there and we were just talking about some of the industry issues that we were having. And on the back of a napkin, we literally came up with this thing called the box.
Nice.
And it was like this, the biggest issue we had at that time was integrating with systems. And we thought about this kind of middleware, I guess you could call it these days, of some system. And when we planned it all out, we agreed and we signed everything. All of us would have 33% share in it.
Love
and stuff. Some of those kind of ideas are born in the back of a fag packet. Are the ideas that are really cool, right? Those are the kind of things. And I do actually wish we'd kind of progressed with it, because it for a good number of years, it became quite a big issue in hospitality in general. I think if I had a blank canvas and I could do anything with it, probably something around the operational AI space. I think that's quite a big thing at the moment. I guess AI is used as a term quite freely, and I think knowing how to use it and where to use it is quite a big thing. Automation is probably the big one for us.
I like the idea of the box, but what was the box specifically going to solve? I love the name, but like, what was it going to fix for us?
I mean, we planned this in one night, right? So there wasn't a huge amount of thought went into it, but essentially what it was is it became an interface to any system. So it allowed you to transfer data from one system to another, and I'm guessing there was probably people sitting on tables around us at the time who looked at it, stole the idea, and have now produced it. And there's stuff out there already that does it. But yeah, that was a very early on.
Yeah. I can see, and that's one of the things that's changed in tech, at least in what I've seen, is that we've gone from having a lot of all-in-one, all-singing or dancing systems, which quite honestly were probably quite good at 50-60% of what they did, to more of a best in class tech stack approach where people pick and choose the right bit for their business and then bring those things together to be something stronger. And I'm sure a device like the box would have really helped in that. But
the analogy I use is if you go to a restaurant and there's a menu and the menu has 100 different things on it.
Yes.
You know that a restaurant's not going to be great at one of those things. It's trying to do too much.
It's funny. My first boss used to use that example, and he called it bad Italian restaurant syndrome, when there's a menu this big covering your face, but none of it's done well.
Exactly that. It is that. And, if you're going to be good at something, be good at one thing.
Yeah.
Be excellent at one thing.
Okay, great. I think we're getting towards the end of our chat now. So I just, as someone that's been in F&B and hopefully has a good palate, I'd like to find out a bit about your tastes.
Okay.
So I'll do a quick fire round. I've got 5 questions, so I want to hear. First of all, what's the best restaurant meal you've had in the last 6 months?
Last night I went to Dean Street, and I was lucky enough to get like a chef's table type experience there. And the food was phenomenal. Like, I've never tried food like that before. And actually, I'm one of these people that give me a plate of fries and I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a self-confessed chip connoisseur. And it was great, and it pushed me to try new things. Like there was things on that plate that I thought to myself, there is absolutely no way I'm trying that. And I thought, you know what? I'm here.
Give it a go.
This is it. Let me try it, and I really enjoyed it. So it was really really good. Yeah,
amazing. And what is the best like under the radar restaurant right now?
There's a couple of Indian restaurants. I'm Indian, and so Indian food is my kind of like my love, really. I guess. And there's a couple of kind of really good like kind of independent Indian restaurants that you can go to. If you went to somewhere like Harrow or Kenton, some really good places there that will give you authentic Indian food. So something like one of those ones perhaps.
Any names you remember of those, or keeping your secrets?
There's I'll tell you my dad's favorite one. Okay.
Yeah,
so my dad's favorite one is a restaurant called Ram's in Kenton Road in Harrow.
Nice.
He absolutely loves it because it's all you can eat buffet, and like he just goes in and goes, right, I'll have everything.
Love it.
And he just absolutely loves it.
Great. We'll have
Whenever
to
it's his birthdays, his anniversary, anything, I'm like, where do you want to go? Any restaurant you want. He goes, I just want to go to Ram's.
Amazing. We'll have to test it out. Hopefully he'll still get a seat in there now.
Yeah.
Amazing. And do you have any like best cheap eats if you're looking to not spend much?
There's a brand called SKVP, Sri Krishna Vadapal.
Yes.
It's it started off as one brand, like one branch in Hounslow, and it's grown phenomenally over the last 5-6 years or so. Food is so reasonably priced and it's really tasty. They've now, it's really clever. So the guys that own it are really, really clever. What they've now done is they've started opening up within university campuses, knowing that there's a captive audience of people that want to try it. And the worst thing they could ever do is open one opposite my office, which they did. And so now I am there all the time eating it. So it's really good.
That's good. It's so funny you say it because I love that brand as well.
Yeah.
The first time I went to Mumbai, I had Vadapav and I was like, my friends will love this. Where do I get them? Went on the internet, place in Hounslow, and I went and got about 20 of them.
So
got all my friends around. Right? I could afford it. It was just after university. And I think probably very few of my friends had a Vadapav until that moment, and they stick in my mind. So that's really cool that you think.
It's a really good brand. And,
yeah.
And they've just had some really good funding from a bigger kind of company. So that's allowed them to expand quite a bit.
Okay, cool. And is there a guilty pleasure kind of chain that you secretly love?
Pizza Hut was one of my favorites. My mum's favorite, in fact. So I told you about my dad's favorite. My mum, I work for Prezzo. And I said to her, look, free pizza.
Yeah.
And although she liked it, her top favorite has always been Pizza Hut.
Amazing.
So Pizza Hut is probably my guilty pleasure. They're closed now. So their dining restaurants are closed. So really the only other one that I can think of is Burger King.
Yeah.
It is they do like a vegan Whopper or a veggie Whopper, which is just fantastic.
Great.
It just feels like I used to eat meat when I was younger, and then I stopped when I got to about 13 or so. I just realized what it was and what I was doing. But I'm one of those people that likes meat substitutes. So people kind of go, why do you eat fake sausage? I like meat. I liked eating. I just don't agree with the principle behind it. So yeah, I mean,
That's
Burger
good.
King is fantastic for that guilty food.
That's great. And I'm going to add in the bonus question, which is, are there any of the brands of the substitutes for meat that you stand by?
Linda McCartney's was probably my first kind of thing, and holds a special place in my heart from a very young age. I think Move Mountains has got really big, and it's really good. But there's a lot of own brand stuff now that is fantastic, and it just tastes just as good.
Amazing. Okay, I've got one final question for you, which is there one restaurant trend that you'd like to see disappear?
We've talked about a few of the things today. So we talked about QR codes, which I don't think is going to disappear. A lot of the time, the consumer drives this kind of stuff, and even if you don't like it, if the consumer wants it, you have to have it, right? Otherwise, you're swimming upstream. I think one of the things I don't like is if I go to a restaurant, one of the first things I'm asked is, have I got a booking? And then, have I got any allergies? Before I've even sat down, before I've even taken my coat off. And it just seems like two real big blockers on a journey that might be fantastic. My experience has already started off quite negative with two real kind of brutal questions. So I think moving that allergy question to a more safe space around a table with your family and friends rather than at the door is probably something that I would like to see change.
That's cool. That's a really interesting one. So thank you so much for your time, Mitz. It's been a really good conversation. I feel like I've learned a lot from you, and I'm really excited to see what innovations you bring to Soho House over the next year or two. We'll keep an eye out for them. If anyone wants to find Mitz or share his details on LinkedIn, go and look at his content. He's always putting it out there. But yeah, thanks again for your time, and we'll see you on another episode.
Thank you so much for your time. And the stuff we do at Soho House isn't a single thing. There's a massive team that work behind the scenes doing it. And just thanks to all of them for putting up with my crazy ideas, really. But thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been fantastic.
Amazing.